Welcome to our conversation in which we'll delve into the dynamic landscape of business, technology, AI, and cross-cultural experiences in Germany. I'm your host, Justyna Szymańska-Laskowska, and today we have an incredible opportunity to speak with an amazing guest, Sérgio Laranjeira, CTO at Metacore, formerly with Zalando, N26, and Delivery Hero. Welcome, Sérgio, and thank you so much for hosting us here and having us here in the vibrant city of Berlin.
Oh, thank you so much for the invitation. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So, Sérgio, Germany's IT sector has been on a remarkable trajectory, embracing new services and cutting-edge innovation. What are the key digital transformation trends that you've observed in the German market recently?
So I've been in Germany for roughly 7 years, right? And in the past few years, what we've seen the most is that there's been more digitalization, especially on government, right? Mm-hmm. Which was one of the biggest concerns that there was in society. You see a lot on green tech also, health tech, and also like in car industry, which Germany is quite known.
Right.
And I think in the past few years, that's where you start to see more adoption of different technologies and digitalization being a part of their company strategy and government strategy also, that was been quite noticed in the different policies and different governments. But yeah, it's quite exciting because it's even though that it took a little bit longer in some cases, it's also something that is actually having an impact directly in the country, and the way that also people move to Germany, it's actually helping a lot. And if we look at goals of sustainability also for the future, I think that it's something that Germany is setting up a good standard there.
That's great to hear. And how do businesses in Berlin in particular adapt to emerging technologies such as AI or blockchain or cloud computing?
Yeah. So Berlin is a city of a lot of different startups and different business starting all the time, right? So I remember when I moved here, right? I mean, a lot of different companies were experiencing a different business with blockchain, for instance, that was quite remarkable. Also in fintech, that was also changing a lot, which I also joined a company regarding that. And you see a lot of those companies that whatever business or whatever technology comes and emerges, Berlin is one of the cities that embraces those and immediately tries to adapt that, right? So take an example also a few years ago when the pandemic started, that suddenly the grocery delivery became a thing, and every grocery delivery company almost in the world had business also in Berlin, or a lot of companies also came from the foundation in Berlin, right? So and you see that also that with other things like health tech and AI, that you see a lot of companies investing on this heavily, and startups starting their business with this core of technologies also as part of their core business. Yeah.
Okay, so our next segment zooms in on AI, obviously a huge topic, but why don't we try to fathom it, at least to some extent. So how is AI being integrated into existing business processes?
Yeah, it's a great topic, right? And everybody's been talking about it, and it's
Isn't it too much? This was what we were talking about before. That maybe it's.
No, I think the more people, the more we talk about it, the more we find and discover about it, right? And I think it's not just a trend. It's really here to really shape and disturb or.
It's here and now.
It's going to disrupt completely how we do things, right? So it's been already doing it, and I think it's just going to be more. So I think it's important that we keep talking about it and see how we going to use it more and more, right? So what I've seen most of the times, not right now, it's been that companies adopt already products that are already there in the market, and that you can easily integrate them into your day-to-day, more in terms of increasing productivity from an internal point of view. And this is where, like, for instance, in tech companies, a lot of products like GitHub Copilot have been adopted, and there's several reports around it, how it increases productivity, and everything that you can increase productivity nowadays, it's worth the investment. So I think that's pretty much standard in a lot of tech companies, and
including ours.
Yeah, same with us, right? Metacore, we also adopted GitHub Copilot as one of the tools that we use to improve productivity. So, and then other things that you see, it's been integrating with very standardized products. Once again, like I said, right? I mean, it could be solutions like from OpenAI, that is the famous ChatGPT, right? That people just have their own enterprise account or integrate this into certain of their products, or big companies now, Microsoft and Google, that have quite different set of products that you can easily apply and use them. Same with AWS, that also have out of the box products that you can use. for not just large language models, but even for image creation that is also quite substantially used. And what we see is that companies are adopting these products as several times for internal usage, right, for creating ideas, generating content, others to improve the quality of experience they provide to their customers. I think one of the most recent also that you see a lot is that in terms of customer service, that's where you see a lot of the tools improving and getting much better, and with the support of AI. Yeah.
Great. So these are the upsides, the advantages. Now, what about the challenges that you faced in the AI implementation, and how were they addressed?
Yeah, so I think there's several challenges let's start with the boring ones, with the legal part, right? So I mean, there's a lot of, like, we don't have very defined regulation about this, right? So there's some regulations, some countries, Europe is trying to adapt also, right? So, and I think that's always a challenge, like that you don't know if a regulation is going to be implemented in the next 6 months, that whatever integration you have done, you're going to have to change it, right? So even with Copilot, right? So we don't know if 1 year from now, actually something will come up and say, a regulator in some countries say, you're not allowed to actually use any of this generated code by Copilot or assistants that you can use in production, right? And this would have a massive impact on companies. So that part of legal and regulations and compliance will change a lot for sure in the upcoming times as people get more informed about it, right? We all remember many years ago when GDPR had to be implemented, the pain point that it was. It could be something similar that I think will come. I think the other is that this is a very recent technology, if you think about it, right? Or we talked about AI for years and years, right? But the recent developments are very new. The maturity of products, we don't really know. So everyone is still like in a discovery phase to understand what are the best products and if they really work, if they really bring value to the company or not. Can you really use this into improving your customer experience? I think there's a lot of discovery there that is necessary. And the same way we talked about digital transformation many years ago, there's going to be for sure AI transformation. And those processes take time, and especially when companies haven't adopted already recent technologies or products or being on the cloud or something like this. So there's going to be challenges there also if you just think that you can just subscribe OpenAI and start using it. It could be tricky when you still have to change a lot in the core of the company. Yeah.
So staying with the challenges and moving on to the risks and uncertainties a little bit. So with the rapid pace of advancements in AI and emerging technologies, how do you navigate the uncertainty surrounding long-term investments in AI?
Baby steps, all right? So I think we do need to learn more and more about AI. I think there's also a lot of development that has been done on the different products that we're not sure where they are going sometimes, and not sure how much they're going to bring a lot of value to the company immediately. So even on the small adoptions that we had, we don't go all in and saying from now on this is the only way that we do things, right? So I think we do have to be a little bit patient there on understanding the maturity that these products have, and as we experiment and learn more about it and we see more opportunities, you can invest more and more and into AI products. But I think in this point is you can't just shift suddenly all your strategy just to be AI oriented, because the products are still not mature enough. It's still very recent what we're learning from it, and at least I don't see it right now. So I think it's, prepared for the future, absolutely, give those baby steps, but also prepared that some things might not be ideal and that you have to roll back or to just use a different technology. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you envision companies' technologies evolving with AI in the next 5 years? Or maybe it's too long.
I mean, in 5 years, I think it's going to be remarkable where we're going to be. If in just like in the space of less than 2 years, every company is talking about it and everyone wants to invest in it, we can imagine that in 5 years, a lot of different companies have experimented. I've seen what it really works on them, and they put it more investment into it and probably created more platforms around it, right? So I do see that in the next 5 years, the adoption of all these technologies will be, probably like 10, 15, 20 times higher than it is today. It's been one of the most remarkable pieces of technology that has been adopted faster in the whole market. Probably we've never seen any technology in the world being adopted this fast. So in the next 5 years, this is only going to increase in my perspective. It's going to become very natural that we all use AI products, and it's going to be very useful that our products are going to be very much supported by AI. And this will be, I think, for every industry, there's going to be a high level of automation. There's going to be much smarter decision making made for you to know better about, it could be related to your health, it could be related to your investments. And for sure in the entertainment area, I also see where this is going to develop a lot, where you're going to see a lot of the content being generated by AI. Can be complicated, of course. Can be a lot of also legal concerns sometimes there. But I think the amount of content we're going to have and the amount of technology that we're going to have the next 5 years is going to increase exponentially. Yeah.
Okay, and any downsides that you see from today's perspective?
We already see a little bit of the concerns that sometimes we don't know what is real or not, because AI can really create some content that sometimes you think, well, this was this person acting and saying this, or and sometimes it's not, as we've seen a lot of deep fakes around that, right? So I think also in we don't know how much is going to be original content or content that is actually stolen from original people or from people that actually created that, right? So we need to be very cautious around that.
So that raised some ethical concerns, right?
I think the ethical part will be the most problematic. I think that also we need to have somehow a way to know what it was generated by AI and what is not, right? And right now there's moments that is super hard, right? And I also see that maybe for a lot of people that are in this area of technology, they can understand already and see some differences. But when I look at my parents, they will probably not identify that this was artificial intelligence being created. So I think the ethical part will be very concerning. And we have a lot of people talking about this, right? And I think it's going to be where the downsides is that it develops so fast that we don't know how big it's going to get and how impactful it's going to get, right? So it could be some downsides there. Yeah.
Right. Okay, and now talking a little bit about more your team, as you manage a team. So how do you foster a culture of innovation within your team, especially concerning AI or connected?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do is that we openly talk about ideas and products that we've seen, right? So everyone is looking to getting a better understanding about this. So one of the things that we do quite frequently is that we do have open sessions where people share a little bit around their experience around it, what products they've tried, what they would like to try, and how do they see AI changing the way that we do things, right? And then we have to, of course, look into all these different ideas and try to cluster some of them, probably do some review of some of them that could be useful, and then start trying and experimenting some of them, right? So we haven't gave still like major steps, completely changing the way we do things, but we did give that baby steps. So I couldn't ask people to do that and then not do it myself, but we do try to use some tools in a very smart way, experiment them, and then also give feedback around those tools and see how it is. We do also talk with major companies like, and Google is an example, right? That we do keep a very close connection to them, and that they can share with us their products, their ideas, and how this can develop and help us, so that we can keep ourselves very well informed. And we share this once again to the whole tech department of the company. Yeah.
And what's the feedback from your team?
Everybody is eager on experimenting, and everybody has like very strong opinions about, maybe this product is better than that one, right? So we also don't want to be completely closed on just choosing one unique product and one unique provider that would only give us a certain amount of tools. But what I've seen is that always everyone is super open, right? I mean, we're in an entertainment and game development industry that is a very unique type of business, where generating new ideas comes a lot from creativity, comes a lot with our own imagination of what we want to create. AI can help us on getting better ideas and better content, right? And I think the team so far, everyone has been very eager to continue to experiment and to try and to learn more about it. So, and I think that's the right mindset at this stage.
Okay, great. So how do you assess the potential return on investments for new AI technologies?
Um, it's not as straightforward as it might sound, right? But it's definitely something that is important to understand if you're putting the right investment into the right tools, right? So there's two aspects that I think you always have to look like in. You also do this in other areas. You look at the qualitative and quantitative information about this, right? So you can first collect just feedback from the people that are using this, what kind of tool or product it is, and to understand their perception on the results that they get out of this. Is it helping them? Is it improving the quality of their work? Is it supporting a lot of the day-to-day things that they have to do, and just start from that feedback that you get, right? And then you do have to somehow look into whatever the tool is, and especially like I think we all looked a lot into increasing productivity, right?
Right.
And it depends on the metrics that there you are measuring, right? So is this actually helping you? So what we've seen also with GitHub, and there's a lot of cases around that with GitHub Copilot, is that it increases the percentage of unit testing that you
Right.
have. It increases the percentage of documentation that you have, right? So, and if you look into those metrics, the investment that you put into having a tool like this most likely is worth it, right? So, whatever tool it is, you do need to have some some success metrics that you have to look into those, and then look also at the feedback that you get from the people that are using it, and to see if there's a good return on investment. Yeah.
Has there been any that you resigned from, that you said, okay, it's not worth it, or you were not happy about the ROI?
Not, I mean, not specifically, but we never really made a commitment to actually start using them, right? So you've seen a lot of, and I'm not going to really mention what it is, but you've seen a lot of products that now say, hey, we also have our AI module that you can see it, right? We never really committed to some of them because we didn't see the potential of it, right? So, and maybe it's because, sorry, and maybe it's because the products are still not mature enough, right? That could be the issue, but it's just that we didn't see that at this point it's worth to. Most of them you have to start committing immediately with payment, so we just didn't try it. Yeah.
Or maybe some people just want to jump on the AI bandwagon and
I mean, there's a lot of the products, like you see a lot of companies also that basically what they do is that they have an integration with OpenAI, which is fair enough. I mean, it works, right? But it's not really that they have developed their own AI system. It's just that they're using something else, which I think is fair enough. I mean, I think it's just we also need to be very transparent about that. Yeah.
And how do you anticipate AI will change the competitive landscape in your industry?
I think in the entertainment industry, especially game industry, is going to change a lot with AI in the perspective of we're going to rapidly see more concepts being launched, right? So the fact that we can generate ideas and assets with AI much faster than we created on our own will enable also to, you will most likely see more games being launched, more different assets in terms of parts of games that will be now generated by AI, right? I mean, and then the personalization also of content, I think it's going to be super interesting. So the type of casual games that we develop will have a high potential of personalization with the asset creation with AI, that you can really tailor the experience much more. And I think that we will see a lot of great advancements. Game engines is also something very interesting, because I think that's where AI can also once again facilitate to develop games faster, but also create the potential of new stories and new timelines inside of games much differently than what we've seen so far, right? So it's going to be very, very different what we see today, what we will see 5 years from now. Yeah.
And are you more excited or more apprehensive?
I'm always excited about new ideas. It does bring a big challenge when you want to see what is going to be the best technology you can invest into it, and what is really worth to invest. Is it something that you want to go with a big player and invest in their own tools? Do you want to start developing your own because maybe you have ideas that will never be any other product or service that can do that? So I think it does bring a lot of ethical questions, which I think is super relevant, that we have to address this in a good way. So it's a very mix of, being super excited with also trying to be a little bit cautious to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
How do you navigate cultural differences in the workplace?
Yeah. Coming from a country like Portugal to Germany was definitely a big challenge in a few things, right? And there's been a few episodes that I mentioned how Portuguese culture avoids conflict, and then you move to Germany and they're very straightforward and they will not avoid conflict. So I think the first step was that I needed to adapt as fast as possible by knowing their culture, by understanding their motivations, and getting to understand how you can fit into this, right? And that takes some time. That takes a lot of, it's great that you also make those questions around how people would like to work, what's their ways of working, understand better about the culture, traditions, and how people act. And that's something that I think I had to really put time and effort to make sure that I would understand that better.
So how is it now, 7 years past?
I don't avoid conflict, so I think that's a great step, okay. Right? So it's something that's it became more natural to me, even though that it's not something that I would say that I was super excited about it in the beginning, right? I do understand the benefits that it brings on, especially when you need to take decisions, that you can't just avoid those conflicts. You need to go and take a decision, right? So it did take some time, of course, right? I mean, it wasn't instant. There's also the other aspect that I think that's important is you also need to keep being yourself, right? I mean, you shouldn't change the person that you are. You should just adapt very, very much to the situations that you are and to the cultures that you are working with, right? So the more you know them, and the more also that you also express yourself better, that you also share experience with those people, and that you can also even, be very open about things like this. I was very vocal and open, saying, hey, I do not strive in conflict, but this is something that we can overcome together and work together. And now you become better at it, so it really facilitates all the conversations we have when they're a bit more tough. And this has been one of the best things actually of working in a diverse culture like you find in Berlin, with many people from all over the world. You get to know them, you get to know their the way that they communicate, where do they strive or not, what do they like to do or not. And as you get to know this, I think in leadership roles it's crucial that you adapt your style to them, so that you can deliver the message more effectively. Yeah.
So what strategies do you use to build effective communication with colleagues from diverse backgrounds and diverse countries, and diverse cultures?
So I think it starts by showing a lot of interest on getting to know people, right? So I think building trust comes from, making a lot of questions and hearing what people have to say, hearing their background, hearing their story, hearing, their concerns, hearing their what are the things that they would like to do and to grow. And making sure that you really listen to them and that you pay attention to this, and that you act also on some of these things, right? Being very honest and transparent is something that I always do, right? I'm very, I share a lot of the information that I am aware with all my direct reports all the time. They need to make sure that they have the same level of information that I have, so that they can also act on it when it's necessary. And I'm very open about that, I've learned over the years to be more straightforward with feedback, which I think it also helps a lot on people's integration into the world, into the place that they're working, and into making sure that everyone is very much aware of what is expected, right? So essentially always that part of creating trust, that's what's been the most important for me, right? I mean, I love to get to know, as I said, their background, and to get to know more about their traditions and what are the things that they do, and that we become, that we trust each other, and that whatever is an easy conversation or a tough conversation, that we can always have that no matter what, and that we trust each other. Yeah.
And can you share an example of successfully bridging cultural gaps within your team, or maybe some personal story?
I can start, but my wife is German, so that's probably a big win. So that's probably something that I wouldn't say when I moved to Germany, that I would meet a partner that is German. But besides the different aspect of personal life, right? When I do work now in a Finnish company, right? So Metacore is a Finnish company. Finnish culture is, well, it's, first of all, it's, I think it was even just recently published that it was the 7th year in a row that Finnish people are considered the most happy people in the world, right? So it's definitely something that you see in the culture of Finland, right? That people really care about their well-being. Metacore is an example of a company that is like one of the best in the country around that, and that you can see a lot of efforts into that, right? So, which I'm super happy, right? But Finnish culture is also a culture that I know very well from the perspective of avoiding conflict and avoiding discussions, right? So, I did see that in the beginning when I joined, right, that those uncomfortable topics were not so much mentioned and discussed. And I came and started making all those questions, and sometimes it was a little bit like people looking at me like, hey, what is happening here? One thing that I had to adopt myself is that Finnish also, they don't mind silence, uncomfortable silence, and I had to get used to that. And it's actually a good sign that if there's a big silence because you made a comment, it's like people do agree with that and do agree with the situation. So I had to.
So it's comfortable silence, not awkward silence.
It's getting there, right? So it's something that I also had to get used to it, and I think there's a lot of benefits also that Metacore is taking from bringing people from all over the world that complement also with the Finnish culture, and that we all learn from each other, and I think is shaping the culture in the company very well. Yeah.
Sérgio, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. It's been a real pleasure. To our audience, thank you for tuning in and joining us on this insightful journey through the realms of business, technology, and cross-cultural experiences in Germany. Till next time.
IT Insights, talks on business and IT challenges with tech leaders. Visit us at itinsights.tech and dive into our podcasts, webinars, and events.